The Complete Grimm's Fairy Tales, The Godfather. A poor man had so many children that he already asked everyone in the world to be godfather. And when he still had yet another child born, no one was left that he could invite. He knew not what to do, and in his perplexity he lay down and fell asleep. Then he dreamt that he was to go outside a gate and ask the first person he met to be the godfather. When he awoke, he was determined to obey his dream and went outside the gate and asked the first person who came up to him to be godfather of his child. The stranger presented him with a little glass of water and said, "This is wonderful water. It can, with it you can heal sick, only you must see where death is standing. If he is standing by the patient's head, give the patient some water and he will be healed. But if death is standing by his feet, all trouble will be in vain, for the sick man will die." From this time forth, the man could always say whether a patient would be saved or not, and became famous for his skill, and earned a great deal of money. Once he called in to the child of the king, and when he entered, he saw death standing by the child's head, and cured it with water. And he did the same the second time, but the third time death was standing by his feet, and he knew the child was to die. Once the man thought he would visit the godfather and tell him how he had succeeded with the water. But when he entered the house, the strangest things were going on. On the first flight, a broom and a shovel were disputing and knocking each other about violently. He asked them, "Where does the godfather live?" And the broom replied, "One flight of stairs higher up." And when he came to the second flight, he saw a heap of dead fingers lying. He asked, "Where does the godfather live?" One of the fingers replied, "One flight of stairs higher." And on the third flight, lay a heap of dead heads, which again directed him to a flight beyond. On the fourth flight, he saw fishes on fire, which frizzled in the pans and were baking themselves. They too said, "One flight higher." And when he ascended the fifth, he came to the door of a room and peeped through the keyhole, and there he saw the godfather with a pair of long horns. When he opened the door and went in, the godfather got into bed in a great hurry and covered himself up. Then the man said, "Sir Godfather, what a strange household you have. When I came up the first flight of stairs, the shovel and broom were quarreling and beating each other about violently." "How stupid you are," said the godfather. "That was the boy and the maid talking to each other." And on the second flight, I saw dead fingers lying. "How silly you are. Those are some roots of scorzonera." And on the third flight lay a heap of dead man's heads. "Oh, foolish man, those were just cabbages." On the fourth flight, I saw fishes in a pan which were hissing and baking themselves. When he said that, the fishes came and served themselves up. And when I got to the fifth flight, I peeped in through the keyhole and of the door, and there, godfather, I saw you. You had long, long horns. "Oh, that is not true." The man became alarmed and ran out, and if he had not, who knows what the godfather would have done to him. Complete Grimm's Fairy Tales. Godfather Death. A poor man had 12 children and was forced to work night and day to give them even their daily bread. When therefore the 13th came into the world, he knew not what to do, and in his trouble he ran out into the great highway and resolved to ask the first person he met to be godfather. The first to meet him was the good God, who had already knew what filled his heart, and said to him, "Poor man, I pity you. I will hold your child at its christening and will take charge of it and make it happy on earth." The man said, "Who are you?" And he replied, "I am God." "Then I do not desire to have you for a godfather," said the man. "You give to the rich, but leave the poor in hunger." Thus he spoke the man, for he did not know how wisely God apportions riches and poverty. He turned therefore away and went further along. Then the devil came to him and said, "What do you seek? If you will take me as the godfather of your child, I will give him gold and plenty and all the joys in the world." The men asked, "Who are you?" And he said, "I am the devil." "Then I do not desire to have you for godfather," said the man. "You deceive men and lead them astray." And he went onwards, and then came death striding up to him with withered legs, and said, "Take me as the godfather." The man asked, "Who are you?" And he said, "I am death. I make all equal." Then said the man, "You are right. You take the rich as well as the poor, and without distinction. You shall be the godfather." Death answered, "I will make your child rich and famous, and for he who has me for a friend can lack nothing." The man said, "Next Sunday is the christening. Be there for the right time." Death appeared as he had promised, and stood as godfather quite in the usual way. When the boy had grown up, his godfather one day appeared and bade him to go with him. He led him forth into the forest and bade him and showed him herbs which grew there. Now you shall receive your godfather's present. Will make you a celebrated physician, and when you are called to a patient, I will always appear to you. If if you stand at the head of the sick man and give him confidence, he will become well again. And if you give him this herb, he will recover. But if I stand at the patient's feet, he is mine. And you must say that all remedies are in vain, for no physician in the world could save him. But be aware, using the herb against my will, or it might fare ill for you. It was not long before the youth became the most famous physician in all the world. He had only to look at the patient and know his condition at once, whether he would recover or must soon die. So they said of him from far and near wide that people came to him and sent him anyone who was ill and gave him so much money that he soon became a very rich man. Now it soon befell that the king became ill and the physician was summoned, and they said that if recovery were possible, that he could diagnose it. But when he came to his bed, death was standing at the feet of the sick man, and the herb did not grow which could save him. If I could but cheat death for once, thought the physician, he is sure to take it ill if I do, but I'm his godson. He will shut one eye, and I will risk it. He therefore took up to the king, who was the sick man, and laid the other way, so that now death was standing at his head. Then he gave the king some herbs, and he recovered and grew healthy again. But death came to the physician, looking very angry, and threatened him with his finger. You have betrayed me. This time I will pardon you, as you are my godson. But if you venture this again, it will cost you your neck, for I will take you yourself away with me next time. Soon afterwards, the king's daughter fell into a severe illness. She was his only child, and the king wept day and night. So he began to lose the sight of his eyes, and caused it to be made known that whoever rescued her for death should be her husband and inherit the crown. When the physician came to the sick girl's bed and he saw death by her feet, he ought to have remembered the warning given by his godfather, but he was so infatuated with the great beauty of the king's daughter and the happiness of becoming her husband that he flung all thought to the winds, and he did not see that death was casting angry glances at him, and he was raising his hand in the air and threatening him with his withered finger. He raised up the sick girl and placed her head where her feet had been lain. Then he gave her some herbs, and instantly her cheeks flushed red, and life stirred afresh in her. When Death saw that for a second time his own property had been misused, he walked up to the physician with long strides and said, all is over for you, and now the lot falls on you. And he seized him so firmly with his ice-cold hand that he could not resist, and led him into a cave below the earth. Then he saw how thousands and thousands of candles were burning in countless rows, some large, some medium-sized, others small. Every instant some were extinguished, and others again burnt up, so the flames seemed to leap hither and thither in perpetual change. See, said Death, these are the lights of the lives of men. The large ones belong to children, the medium ones to married people in their prime, and the little ones belong to old people. But children and young folks likewise often only have a tiny candle. Show me the light of life, said the physician, and he thought it would show me my light of life, said the physician. He thought it would still be very tall. Death pointed to a little end which was threatening to go out, and said, behold it there. Oh, dear godfather, said the horrified physician, light me a new one. Do it for the love of me, that I may enjoy my life, be king, and be husband of the king's beautiful daughter. I cannot, answered Death. One must go out before a new one is lighted. Then place the old one on the new one, and there it will go on burning once the old one has come to an end, pleaded the physician. Death behaved as if he were going to fulfill his wish, and he took a tall new candle. But as he desired to revenge himself, he purposely made a mistake in fixing it, and the little piece fell down and was extinguished. Immediately, physician fell to the ground, and now he himself was in the hands of Death.